Morning guys, Alan here. I just thought I'd share a few moments with you what we've been up to over the summer, because while we were sat this morning having our usual morning coffee, just facing what can only be described as a very typical English country style train station just where we live. It's really beautiful. And sat there in silence drinking my coffee, watching all the people coming off the train preparing for work. I just thought to myself, well, it does feel different this morning. I'm not sure why. Everything feels a little bit different. It's still summery and it's still hot, yet you can feel the change. The trees look the same, but they're slightly starting to go gold, and all these little changes are taking place like always take place, of course. And this summer, of course, is it's always a busy time here at Orange Beetle, because what I tend to do over the summer, because it's always a quieter, slower time, is I spend the whole time obviously still working with clients, but we review everything. So I just thought it's worth sharing with you what I actually do over that period, and the difference it can make, because the difference can be pretty massive. So when we get into the summer period, the first thing I always do is review the websites, and I go into the analytics and I review the biggest hit web pages of the sites, and to check for conversion, for measurements, for percentages, and so on. Pages that are not used, pages that are used, pages that can be tweaked, slightly improved. So sometimes by the end of the summertime, Orange Beetle can quite often look completely different. And of course, I also go through all the other processes, like I check the forms, I check any advertising that we're doing. I always check as well that the message is exactly on match with the audience, because what can tend to happen is your audience as a company can change slightly. It can change. For instance, I did hear the recent example, which was a good example, of Blockbuster versus Netflix. Blockbuster, of course, you could go in, you could rent a film and take it back. Netflix said instead of renting the film, you can pay a monthly membership, and on the monthly membership you can watch as many films as you like. And after 8 years of a huge billion pound business, Blockbuster went completely bust, and that's because they stopped listening to their marketplace, and their marketplace, their targets, their clients had changed. So it's a good thing to do, to listen to and review, because it does change. You've got Blockbuster, that was a multi-billion-dollar business, gone bust. Over the weekend here as well in the UK, we had British Home Stores, very famous British Home Stores that was founded in London by a group of American investors I think it was in the 20s. So part of the British institution. For decades, people shopped there, they went there. But it was obvious over the past couple of decades, they completely stopped listening to the marketplace. They stopped listening to the customer. They stopped listening to people's needs and demands, because it's all changed. And they kept on trying to do the same old thing and got the same old results. And this weekend, disappeared forever. Same as Woolworths and other companies. So over the summer in Orange Beetle, I tend to review. Here's how detailed I go. I review what people are typing into search engines. I review, am I supplying what my target market wants when they do that search? I review, does the message match when they land on the page to the initial search? Review everything, so that if the marketplace has changed, and actually this year it has, if the marketplace has changed, it means the message has to change according to the marketplace. The service has to change, the offering has to change. All these different things have to change, because if they don't change, your marketplace begins to take a nosedive. So by the time September arrives, which is tomorrow, I think, I've lost track of time. By the time September arrives, you're prepared for the buyer's market, because also what you have to remember is, for example, just one example, Google searches drop 50% for certain keywords and key phrases over the summer, and in some business cases they drop a lot more than 50%. So because they drop so dramatically, It shows that it's not a buyer's marketplace. People are away, people are looking after the kids. Even in this village, these streets go completely dead. I mean, literally, this weekend there's been no one in this village whatsoever, which is very unusual because it's a very thriving place. But you can bet by next week, the first week back at school, this village will be completely packed. People will be buying, they will be looking to buy, they'll be reading about buying, they'll be interested in buying, they'll be looking for your product or your service. But the question you have to ask is, are you ready for the buyer's market? Have you made any tweaks and changes according to your buyer's market needs and wants? And have you reviewed everything that you do? Or are you trying the same old stuff that you've always tried? Because what you tried at the beginning of the year may not work at the end of the year. What you were using last year may not work this year. What you were using that was super successful when you opened up 3, 5, 7 years ago may not work at all this year or next year. So it's good to do a complete review of everything. If you need to bring in experts, bring in experts. If you need to get advice, get advice. If you need to rebuild your website. I mean, the websites, we have to rebuild our websites every year without fail, because the changes online are so fast and so dramatic, we have to rebuild them. We've just, in fact, you can see the board behind. We've just planned 3 brand new membership areas within our 3 main websites, because the marketplace has changed so dramatically. So the question you really have to ask yourself is, don't be frightened of the changes, because whether we like it or not, autumn always arrives, winter always arrives. But after winter we have spring, and then we have summer, and then the cycle begins again. There's nothing you can stop as far as changes go, but what you need to know is, are you adapting to the changes? Are you making the changes appropriate for your business or for your lifestyle? If you're not, now is the time to do it, and sometimes before it gets too late. Some people just hang on and hope that these changes are going to happen. Believe me, I've seen so many times in businesses, unless you take action, they just don't happen. So I thought we'd just share that with you. That was my coffee facing the train station, watching the changes this morning, and just having to think about what we need to do. Just sharing with you what we've been doing over the summer, and of course what we need to do now to continue those changes through. This is Alan Forrest Smith, orangebeetle.com, breakthrough transformational business consultant, direct response consultant. You need anything, you know exactly where I am. I hope this helps you to get your brain matter going on what feels like the very first day of autumn. Thanks for listening.